On a stormy night, a murderous gang known as the Dong Group lays siege upon a martial arts school, slaughtering the kung fu students in their path as they make their way toward the school's leader, the Sifu. The gang, led by Yang, has gone on a rampage to find and steal talismans and grant individual powers to each member. There are 4 guardians and 5 talismans: the wood, fire, water, metal, and earth talismans. Together they complete the Wu Jing Chinese theory of the universe. For Yang, he felt betrayed when he was banished by the Sifu for attempting to take the talisman in order to use its healing powers to save his family. Each member of the Dong group believes that what they're doing is right. Sparing no one, Yang orders Fajar to kill the Sifu's only child, but little do they know that he is in the possession of a talisman of his own, one that grants immortality to the user due to the revival upon death, with the only drawback being that you age each time. 8 years later, the protagonist, now practicing his own brand of kung fu, sets out to exact retribution for his father's slaying. First he hunts down the man who killed him, Fajar, a chemist who makes drugs that have consumed the city and turned its populace into junkies. This man also has a life-threatening illness and so never leaves his facility where he grows plants to supply the drugs to the local gang members. It's here that the player has the option to spare or kill each member of the Dong group, and depending on the actions chosen, there will be enlightenment in store for the protagonist at the end. By sparing Jafar, it implies that he stops producing drugs and instead goes back to growing harmless plants. The next member of the Dong group, Shan, helped facilitate his father's death as he was one of the guardians of the talismans and ran his own school, one of the 4 that the Dong group assaulted. He then uses the power of the fire talisman to forge his own teachings and imprint them on his disciples through the burning. It's implied that he has remorse, along with the other members, for their actions. Karoki lives in a museum funded by Shenfang, the most powerful woman in China, who also funds the sanctuary where Yang resides. Karoki is an artist that mourns the death of her sister, and it is implied that she has suffered from perhaps a careless accident caused by Karoki herself. She seems to harbor guilt and transforms into an image of her twin in the second battle phase. The museum is a tribute to her, and upon sparing Karoki, Karoki transforms back into her normal self, implying that perhaps she will be at peace. Shenfang was once tied to the group that was supposed to protect the talismans, and wanting to help as many people as possible through philanthropy, she turned against Shan's father and the protagonist Sifu in order to procure the metal talisman to grant herself even more wealth. Yang built a sanctuary that has miraculous healing properties thanks to Sifu's earth talisman. People come from around the world to be healed by Yang, and he mentions to the protagonist that the good he has done outweighs the murder of Sifu. By sparing Yang, Sifu achieves Wuda, the honor of a kung fu master that only uses the art for the good and never for vengeance. And so the protagonist dies from the injuries succumbed from Yang after having his pendant removed. In the post-credits sequence, perhaps the protagonist is revived by Yang so that he can be a Sifu to the next generation.